Good evening and welcome to the January 9th, 2012 Stanley County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. We do have some folks in the audience this evening, and we certainly welcome you to this meeting. As always, we welcome our media as well and appreciate their coverage of these events. I'd like at this point in time to call on Commissioner Dennis for our invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, you have given us this good land as our heritage. Make us always remember your generosity and constantly do your will. Bless our land with honest industry, truthful education, and honorable way of life. Save us from the violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil course of action. Make us, who came from many nations with many different languages, a united people. Defend our liberties and give those in whom we have entrusted the authority of government the spirit of wisdom, that there might be justice and peace in our land. When times are prosperous, let our hearts be thankful, and when in troubled times, do not let our trust in you fail. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Dennis. At this point in time, we want to take a look at our agenda. Entertain any motions for adjustments to the agenda at this time.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I would make a motion that we pull item 4 because we have another name that's been submitted, and also that we add 911 budget revision under consent agenda item, make it number H, letter H.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner McIntyre to pull number 4. That's an item dealing with appointments to the Board of Equalization and Review, and then also add a budget amendment page connected to actually G in the consent agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Louder. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We'll make those adjustments to our agenda. Our first scheduled agenda item is to hear from Gwen Henson, our Transportation Director, concerning the 2012-2013 Community Transportation Program application. Welcome, Gwen.
Good evening and Happy New Year. I'm here to discuss the details of the FY 2012-2013 Community Transportation application. This application has 2 parts for the Transportation Department. One is the administrative part, requesting this year from the state $226,006. This part has a 15% local match, which would be $33,901. The second part is the capital funding. This year requesting $60,800. This would be to replace 1 vehicle and put the logo and lettering on that vehicle, and then we're requesting money to help offset the replacement of the phones in the office that the county is already working on. That has a 10% local match, or $6,080. So the total local match that would be requested, possibly if the state approves the budget from the county, would be $33,981. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of Gwen at this time?
Is a portion of that match made up with revenues?
Not this one.
Not this one. Okay.
Yeah, that's the ROPE application where we use the revenues.
Okay. Any other questions at this time? Okay, hearing no further questions, I'd like to call into session a public hearing on this Community Transportation Program application. Anyone who would like to speak for or against should come forward at this time. Seeing no one to speak this evening on this topic, close the public hearing and ask commissioners, what's your pleasure? We have a motion from Commissioner Dennis to approve the resolution to apply for and receive 2012-2013 Community Transportation Program funds. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Morton. Are there any other questions or discussion at this time? All in favor of the motions indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you so much. Next agenda item is to discuss our utilities. Our presenter is Donna Davis, our Utilities Director. Donna, would you come forward? And welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I have for your consideration this evening the award of a contract, actually 3 contracts, to United Plumbing, and these are in reference to our community development block grant funded projects, including one that is a part of a CDBG infrastructure project and part also of our CDBG hookup grant program. Bids were received in December, and there were actually 3 bid packages. United Plumbing was the lowest, United Plumbing Associates of Concord was the lowest responsive bidder in this case, and these are to serve low moderate income households with connections from to the water system from the private plumbing in the household.
Okay, Commissioners, you have the information presented in your packet, and it's also just been described by Ms. Davis. We are to consider awarding these contracts for plumbing services to go along with the Hookup Community Development Block Grant. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dennis. Do I hear a second?
Second.
By Commissioner McIntyre. All in favor? Well, first of all, are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Donna. Looks like that the commissioners are willing to accept those bids. Our third item tonight, we want to hear from Ms. Lori Ivy with Community Extension. I believe you have some personnel changes you want to discuss.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk with you tonight. For many of you, you know that we've had some vacancies in our office. In June of 2011, our crops/horticulture position was vacated, which left us without coverage in the area of horticulture and field crops. And as you know, Stanley County is still a county that relies heavily on agriculture, and agriculture has a big impact on the local economy. So we have been fortunate to have counties next door and short distances from us who have helped in the interim, as well as staff in my office and staff at the Agri-Civic Center in the Soil and Water office that have helped to do some of the work. Because the state is looking at reducing budgets, just as I'm sure you are, the positions are state employees. In my office, they're either employed by NC State University or North Carolina A&T State University, with the county funding a portion of their salaries. In some cases, it's a 50-50 split. In others, it's a 40-60 split, and so on. So what the state is looking at is how they can better use their resources, and the reason I'm here today is because the field crops position was also became vacant in June of 2011 in Union County. And so our district extension director, Clint McCrae, said, is there any way we could combine those 2 positions? And so we looked at the acreage for Stanley and Union counties when it came to field crops, and we looked at acreage in other counties that are heavily involved in field crops, such as Sampson, Bladen, Columbus. And if we combine the 2 counties, it would be equivalent to what an agent in Bladen County or Sampson County was covering. So we felt like that was probably a good use of resources. One person could do the job in the 2 counties. But that did leave a void because our crops agent also did horticulture. And for those of you who have been around a while, you may remember when Jim Monroe was here. When Jim went to Mecklenburg County, we actually lost a position. So we've had to have agents that have taken on other responsibilities. So I've been in conversation with an adjoining county to get some help with horticulture. I don't feel that we need someone there every day, but if we had someone that could be in the office once a week and could train some master gardener volunteers to help with customer calls. So there would be a share with field crops 50-50, with the state funding 50% of the position and Stanley County funding 25% and Union County funding 25%. Horticulture, we're still in negotiations, but I am talking to a county, and we're looking at a 20% share, and it would actually be 20% of half the salary. I feel like this is still a good deal for us because before we had an agent who had expertise and experience in field crops and who had coursework in horticulture but really had to learn the ropes when it came to horticulture. In this case, we're going to get an expert in both areas, someone who is an expert in horticulture and someone who is an expert in field crops. And the third position that we're looking at is a new position and a different position that is unique to North Carolina. About a year and a half to 2 years ago, the director from Union County and Anson counties, we sat down and talked, and we looked at what our needs were. And we have a lot of folks who are getting into local foods, who may have been field crop farmers or may have had cattle or may have not been a farmer at all. And they're looking at ways to earn additional income for their family and also utilize the farmland that they have in their families. So one of the things that we looked at is, what are we missing? And we felt like we needed someone that could be a sustainable ag agent, that they would help farmers, new and beginning farmers as well as existing farms, work with them on best management practices. How can they reduce their input costs? How can they increase monies earned in farming? There are a lot of new regulations with GAP certification. If a farmer wants to sell their produce to a supermarket, they have to be GAP certified, or if they want to sell it to our school system, they have to be GAP certified. That's new and different, and quite honestly, farmers need someone to walk with them through the process. Another thing that we found is many of our small farms need help when it comes to business management, and we see this position as helping with business management as well as marketing. Farmers may know how to farm, but when it comes to marketing, they may not have the experience or expertise in that area. As I mentioned, we've been talking about this for about a year and a half. We approached North Carolina A&T. We knew they had some federal funds and state funds that maybe could help us, and originally we asked for them to fund a position 100% for 3 years, with counties picking up a percentage. Well, we know their budgets have been cut, so they have come to us and said they're willing to fund a position 50% for Stanley, Anson, and Union counties, leaving 50% to be divided between the 3 counties. Anson and Union counties, it's my understanding, have gotten the okay from their manager and or commissioners to proceed with this, so I'm asking for your permission to proceed. What will this mean dollar amounts? It's not a lot more money. We're getting 3 people to replace 1 whole person. I think if you figured out percentage, we're getting about 103% of people, so a little more than 1 person. And I really feel like it's a good use of staff, because we will get people who are experts in their particular area that can help farmers. And they will cover either the 2 counties, depending on which position it is, or the 3 counties. So they would be in Stanley County a portion of the time. So now, this time I'll just open it up for questions.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions at this time?
Lori, maybe you can tell me, would we get reports,
Abs-
updates?
Absolutely. That's one of the things that Extension relies heavily on, because we feel like with public monies, it's important that we show we're making an impact. And so with every position, they would have like a strategic plan. We call it a plan of work. And then they would be required to report monthly to the county as well as to the state. And specifically with the A&T position, we're working to because we want to make sure we can show that farms are managing their money better, that they're growing, that it's producing additional jobs in these 3 counties. So there will definitely be measures to show impact of each and every position.
I think one of the things that we've talked about is that in the past, we may have looked at a county extension as activities and things of that nature. Now we really look at you as our economic development arm of the county related to agriculture, and we know how
That's
important that is
correct.
to Stanley County. Any other questions at this time? What we're going to do tonight then, or what we're proposing to do and having you vote on tonight, is a commitment of funds for a future budget. We're not necessarily approving any personnel or whatever. We're just committing funds in next year's budget, which really is a savings based on lapsed salaries from this year. So that's the question before us tonight, and I'll entertain a motion concerning that item.
I move that we approve this commitment.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Dennis to make this commitment at this time. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any other discussion or questions at this time? If not, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Okay. Lori, would you like to take a moment to announce and advertise the meeting that you're having Friday at the Agri-Civic Center?
That would be great. On Friday, we will host the Local Foods Conference. This is a regional conference hosted by 5 counties, Stanley, Anston, and Union, as well as Montgomery and Richmond counties. To date, we have about 140 people registered, and we have some outstanding speakers from North Carolina Department of Ag, NC Market Ready, and of course NC State University. Dr. Ben Chapman, who is a food safety specialist, will be our keynote. We're really excited. This was something that, as you'll see and hear, Stanley, Anston, and Union, we kind of get things going. And last year was the first year that we hosted a conference of this type, and we had about 135 attend. Because local foods is so important, and I really see this as an area where we can have a big economic impact because we are so closely located to more urban areas that could buy the locally food produced here. We wanted a way to educate local producers on, specifically at this conference, food safety. We'll have vendors set up. It's going to be a great day. A local lunch catered by a local restaurant that serves local food. So if we would love to have any of you there, just let me know. And it does take place on Friday. I believe it starts at 8:15 with morning refreshments and goes until about 3:15 on Friday.
Thank you. And it also goes along with the other incubator project that's also at work. And I know that the county commissioners have been asked to participate on that board, interim board. And so this is an important item, and we need to continue to watch it. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Incubator Farm, I believe, will begin with its first meeting tomorrow. And the last thing, I have a tendency to talk a lot, but the last thing is the Food Hub, which is a project that several counties are involved in. And it is a way to market local foods. And we've done a survey. We had over 60 responses from Stanley County, and we're projecting that we will produce local food for about 250 families beginning mid-May in about a 6-7 county region. And today I got a commitment from a farmer that said he was willing to grow for us what we needed. So we're looking right now. We're looking at core growers that are willing to provide, whether it be sweet corn or tomatoes, produce for the Food Hub. So Farm Fresh Ventures.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight.
Our next agenda item is item 5. We're skipping forward. Juvenile Crime Prevention Council appointment. Our presenter is Andy Lucas, County Manager.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you. In your packet, you have a letter from Ms. Kelly Bowling requesting that she be appointed to serve on the JCPC committee to replace a gentleman, Mr. Jimmy Craig. Mr. Craig has been out for several months as a result of workers' comp and has not been attending the JCPC meetings. And Ms. Bowling would like to become more aware of what's going on up here. She's the acting chief counselor for probation and parole, so juvenile probation and parole. And so she would like your consideration to be appointed as a replacement for Mr. Craig. I'll answer any questions.
Any questions at this time? What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to name Ms. Kelly Bowling as a replacement for Mr. Craig on the JCPC.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Louder and a second by Commissioner Dennis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed indicate by the same sign. There are none, so we'll move forward with that appointment. Our next item is the consideration of a board's annual strategic planning retreat. Again, our presenter is Andy Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last 3 years, the board has held a local planning retreat to discuss the current year and set priorities for the next fiscal year and beyond. It's recommended that the board hold this retreat again this year, and also it's up for your consideration to contract with a facilitator to assist with this meeting. Staff had actually has participated in a budget planning tool that was developed by the UNC School of Government, and thought that this may be a good opportunity to utilize this tool and have the School of Government folks run the board through that exercise. It probably would take a couple hours, so that's something for your consideration. We also would like to update the board on the reval, certainly go through the budget and priority setting and goal setting as we have been similar in past years. Also, there's some other training notes and some other items that we'd like to update the board with. The dates of February actually should be February 10th, Friday, February 17th, and Friday, February 24th are noted as potential dates for the retreat. Friday seems to be a good day to do that since we take the majority of the day. I would recommend, if we could, to push it as late as we can in February. That helps with getting more revenue numbers and better picture of expenses for next year. And so a few things. One, to consider whether to hold the retreat. Two, to set a date. And then three, to consider and determine whether you want to use a facilitator, even if it's for a portion of the retreat. And certainly staff's available to assist in any portion of the retreat as well. Any questions?
Commissioners have any questions? Are you looking?
According to my calendar, February 25th on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we changed.
I changed them. It should be February 10th, February 17th, and 24th. When I was putting the agenda item together, I looked at the wrong series of dates on my calendar.
I ain't so sure about my calendar. I ain't promised it might not be.
I can do it on the 10th or the 24th, but not the 17th.
What are the dates of our meetings that month? First and third?
6th and 20th.
Okay.
Talk about commissioners meeting.
Right. Yeah, I just asked Commissioner Dennis. Our meetings that month are February the 6th and February the 20th. And I'm sorry, Ms. Slaughter, you said that you're not available on the 17th.
I am not.
Okay.
24th suit me.
I'm fine with the 24th.
Gene, you okay with that?
I prefer the 17th, since she can be there. I'd rather the big thing. I have to be here that week. Whatever y'all decide.
Do we need a motion or just consensus?
I think you just need. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. I think you just need consensus that that's the date you're gonna hold it. We can work out the details of facilitation and others and location at another time. But I think if we get consensus tonight to lock in the 24th, so we can reserve space and begin that planning, I think we'll be good.
Okay. Let's plan to do that. And the other proposal is that we utilize the School of Government for the facilitator. Is everyone okay with that? Okay. Then it looks like, Mr. Manager, that you have the approval to go ahead, set the date, and plan for that, and to utilize the facilitator on that particular date.
Do we have any idea what we're gonna have in it now?
We may have it at the airport again. I think that facility worked well.
We got everything there ready.
Right. That would probably be my first choice. We'll see if a room's available on that date. If not, certainly we have space here we could use, or there's some other county facilities that we could utilize. The most important thing, I think, is keeping it local so that we can spend that money local in the economy for any kind of supplies or meals or snacks that we may need.
Okay, thank you. The last item on the agenda is the consent agenda. You've had an opportunity to review that information, and I'll entertain a motion concerning those items at this time.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Dennis to accept the consent agenda as presented with the addendum that we made at the beginning of this meeting. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Louder. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So that consent agenda is approved. At this time, we will offer anyone who is present the opportunity to make a comment if they so choose. Come forward if you will. Please, if you will, identify yourself so that folks who are here and also watching this later will be able to know who you are.
Okay. My name's Vanessa Mullenix, and I have just a couple of questions that I'd like to ask. The public records, is that not free of charge? I mean, except for when you have a hard copy and it's like 5 cents a copy or something like that. Is that not true?
Yeah, public records are free. The distinction between a public record versus a lawsuit is the public records are one thing. We produce those. The distinction between that and what Alcoa has done in terms of or APGI in terms of a lawsuit, they've actually brought us into court and said that we were taking too long to produce those records, although we disagree, and that's held up more than once in the court system. But that requires court motions, court filings, all the stuff that goes along with being represented in a formal lawsuit versus just the production of the records. Certainly we don't contest the production of records and making those available, and we've certainly done that.
And haven't you made quite a few already available to APGI?
Certainly. We've made somewhere in the neighborhood of 150,000 pages of records available to
And haven't
APGI.
they paid for each one of those hard copies?
They've paid. I would defer to our attorney on that. She handles the payment and receipt of that typically, and so, but I don't think there are any issues or concerns, but I may be wrong.
I don't have my records here in front of me, but I believe they have to pay a special service charge anytime extensive IT work is necessary due to the volume. But I don't believe there was a per page charge.
But they have paid the county some money for some of this.
I do not know. I would
Okay.
have to check with finance.
All right. Is it true that this $521,435 paid to attorney Michael Taylor was to go over these documents before they were released?
A portion of that money was for lobbying in Raleigh with the General Assembly. A portion of those dollars are his fees are in two parts. Another portion of that money was to review. Another portion of that money was to represent us in court as a result of Alcoa's lawsuit against us, prepare the appropriate motions, and do all the appropriate filing with the court. And so part of it is to review the records. Part of it was to handle and represent us in the courts and prepare all the appropriate motions and all of that is required to be in the court. And then also part of that was for governmental relations representation.
So all this list of lawyers, all of these lawyers, and how many lobbyists do we have in Raleigh? How many lobbyists does Stanley County have, or how many are we paying for?
We currently pay for one lobbyist for a governmental relations, and we have a retainer for a monthly fee of $2,500.
that's one lawyer and one lobbyist at $25,000 per month?
$2,500 per month. We have a retainer, and we receive services from Parker Poe at $2,500 a month for governmental relations, which is lobbying services.
So, so we've already paid Parker Poe, Adams, and Bernstein over $3 million.
The majority of that money is for the 401 water quality certificate intervention. That's the overwhelming majority of it, which we believe certainly has proven valuable as a result of the fact that Diener has now revoked the 401 water quality certificate that was approved based on the fact that additional information came forward that Alcoa withheld key information when they went through their 401 water quality certificate process. And that's all played itself out to show that the county basically had to spend that money to make sure Diener did what they needed to do, and that certainly has helped and will improve water quality not only for the citizens today but into the future. So a portion of that money is for the water quality, a portion of that money was for governmental relations, but the overwhelming majority of that $3 million was to handle the 401 water quality certificate and subsequent litigation. And certainly Jenny can correct me if I'm wrong.
So this this that I have in my hand, that is from the public hearing for the 401 water quality certificate, that plainly states that based on the recent data collected, that they approved and recommended the 401 water quality certificate be issued to APGI, and they concluded, it says, we conclude that this certification will protect water quality standards and discharges of all of these lakes, and this was issued on May the 6th, 2009. So you're saying that they have revoked that, saying that all of their data that's listed in this report is not true now?
It was revoked in it was around in November of 2010, I believe. The 401 water quality certificate was the state, the Office of Administrative Hearings and Diener took action to revoke that water quality certificate that's now being contested by Alcoa in that same court. But they did that as a result of finding out additional information that was found out through the discovery process of the trial, where Alcoa had not shared information that they shared internally with each other to Diener, and so Diener did not have all the information they needed to make an informed decision, and so they felt as though that decision they made in 2009 was not based on all the facts, and certainly Alcoa knowingly withheld some of that information.
Well, apparently they have not updated their site, because it is not on their site. Another question I'd like to sort of bring up is, does Stanley County own an industrial park, and if so, where is it at?
Ms. Mullins, I don't know the purpose of that question. This is a public comment. This is a public comment section. Would you like to make a comment?
Well, I can change it to a comment if you want me to, but I've been searching, and I cannot find anywhere where Stanley County owns an industrial park. And then I understand that you are trying through EDC to bring jobs into the Baden Business Park, when we couldn't do this before. Alcoa has the 125-acre industrial park with the infrastructure that they put in there. And when I try to weigh the facts out, what has the county done for us and what has Alcoa done for us? Alcoa has invested $5 million to bring ERI in here. They are investing $10 million to bring that site up and buildings up that the jobs want. And the county has not put any money into this. This has all been from Alcoa. That industrial site has nothing to do with the dams. That is private property, correct? Oh, well, you don't want me asking questions. Okay. But that industrial park has nothing to do with the dams. And so you know, the way I look at this, right now, Alcoa has invested $15 million in just bringing this site, tearing down buildings and so forth, and the $5 million they're bringing in to bring ERI in, which would have been a total of 750 jobs. Alcoa, there was other jobs, companies that was wanting to come in before the deadline. And I know one of them was 350 jobs, and that was sort of to piggyback on the back of Cleantech. And Alcoa had already said that they had another 100 acres that they would add to that industrial site that would make it a 225-acre industrial site. I don't think the county or the city has anything near that size, and the infrastructure that the people are wanting to bring that in. Then when we look on what the county has done for us, the county has spent over $5 million on lawsuits that we have opened a can of worms, and yeah, there's a whole lot more to pay, and I don't blame Alcoa. They've been attacked, there has been a lot of mistruths that have been said in the paper and on the radio. And in fact, Lindsay, I think the one that you said about the company that called you that night that wanted to come in with 350 jobs, I think they had already been talking to that company and they were wanting to come into the Baden Industrial Park. Do you want to comment on that? I didn't think you would. But I don't understand how this county can want the state to take over. I don't know if you read, but right here's an article where Monroe, Union County, is going to start pulling water out of the Yadkin. You're wanting the state to take over control to where they are going to say, well, Cabarrus County has more population, they have more industry, they need that water, we're going to ship that water to them, or we're going to give other people, when all of this investment and that industrial park is in our county. It would have brought tax money into our county. It would have brought $1.5 million into our school system. I don't mind any other county that borders that Yadkin River to get what's due to them, but I do object when they're talking about sending it to Union County or Cabarrus County because they don't border the Yadkin River. And I feel like our county commissioners are wanting to push this, and hey, it might happen, but it'll probably not be in my lifetime or any of y'all sitting up here that the state takes over. But if they do, Stanley County is going to be sitting here and not get a dime from it because they have never, they're not going to give us the incentives when other counties are needing it, just like right here in the paper. And if you've read it, I mean, they're already saying that they're going to pull out because they don't have nowhere else to get theirs. They've already pulled more water than what FERC controls how much water comes out of those rivers, and you can't pull any more out of Catawba River. And I feel like you county commissioners has sent Stanley County up the river with no paddle or no boat because this thing is going to cost our county. The state's not putting any money in to help fight this. No other counties are putting in any money to help fight this. It's our tax money, and we're going down the drain.
Thank you, Ms. Mullins, for your comments. Anybody else? Seeing no one else, that I would entertain any comments from our board. Josh, I'm going to start with you on my left.
No comment.
Commissioner McIntyre?
No comment.
Commissioner Dennis?
No comment.
Commissioner Louder?
No comment.
Okay. Ms. Attorney, do you have any comments tonight?
No comment, thank you.
Any announcements or comments from the manager?
None at this time. Thank you.
Okay. I know that we've got several items coming up for participation. We mentioned earlier tonight the idea of our local foods movement, and there's a couple of things that commissioners are participating in with that. We know that also our Chamber of Commerce has their annual meeting later in the month, and we certainly need to look at that and see if we can attend that, and also we would invite the public to do so as well. At this point in time, we have some items for closed session and to consult with the county attorney in accordance with GS 143-318 .11, parentheses A, parentheses 3, to discuss 401 water quality permit intervention, APGI's public records request lawsuit, and to discuss a personnel issue in accordance with GS 143-318, .11, parentheses A, parentheses 6. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session at this time.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're in closed session.